Hello, and welcome to the Breaking the Guard podcast. Today's episode, it'll be a short one. I just wanted to remark on UFC Fight Night Vegas 107. This is a card that I don't think anybody was excited about. It was just weird matchups, no big names matched up with other big names, uh, and lots of weight misses, which is going to be more what I'm going to be focused on here, really, because the main event, which was Macy Barber and Erin Blanchfield, women's, I guess, I forget the weight class name, but it's 125. Now, they were supposed to weigh in, and they did get a pound allowance for non-title fights, so 126, but Barber missed it by half a pound, 126 and a half. Not a super big deal, mind you, but she really tried to make that weight. From the looks of it, when they had her on the scale, she didn't look great. A little shaky. She clearly had a rough cut and probably pushed it to the limit. Couldn't make weight. And again, I don't really pay attention to women's MMA too often, to be honest. So I didn't notice any differences, but apparently a lot of people were commenting that, she had, breast implants put in. And I'm like, well, someone did the math. It's like, that would be close, if not half a pound, So like, if you're a professional fighter, that seems like a silly thing to do, in my opinion. I know aesthetically people have their opinions of what's important to accentuate or whatnot, but as an athlete, it doesn't seem like a great idea, especially in a contact sport, to have saline or silicone or whatever they're using as the filler that could potentially burst. I know they're not toxic or anything like that, but it doesn't seem like it'd be a great time either. Not to mention, that's weight that you're not going to be able to lose, that you're adding to yourself. So that's one twist on that thing. But the fight was still scheduled, and Erin in the press interview, pre-fight conference, was saying that she doesn't think that Barber was going to be able to show up to fight, even though they had weighed in and she had missed weight. And I guess people thought she was talking smack, but it turns out that when they were doing the walkouts for the main event, final night of the evening, the production team had to stop the walkout, and they called off the main event just before the walkout. I don't think we've seen something like this since Kevin Randleman slipped in some pipes and hit his head, which actually happened, I think it was at UFC, one of the 20s, it's a couple decades ago. So it's not something that happens very commonly, where a fight is canceled in the walkout. And it wasn't clear what happened, but I guess Erin revealed in the post-fight conference that she was having a seizure during her walkout backstage. Not a great look, right? Obviously, I hope that that young lady's all right, but you have to question what you're doing with yourself if you're not able to make the weight responsibly, especially if you cut so hard that you're going to get a seizure. That could have been a potentially life-threatening situation. You imagine you have a seizure, she falls, hits her head on the floor, that could be game over, right? It's not trivial. So coaches also have to be wondering, well, we goofed here. How did we miss this weight cut so bad? Or how did we let it get this extreme where we put our athlete in harm's way? On the other hand, UFC also has to be wondering, we had 3 fighters miss weight on this card. Not 1, but 3. And Trevin Giles was also supposed to fight. They pulled him off the card, but I know he was supposed to fight. They yanked him because he went unconscious during his weight cut, and they called it off. So you actually had 2 fighters with severe weight cut issues. The other one just missed weight, was still able to fight. And this is where I would say, can we just stop the weight cutting games already? Can we grow up and just institute a new system? And my brother was the one with the idea, which simplified an idea I had too, which is just weigh the athletes in 2 days in a row. That's it. You're not going to be able to do any big weight cuts if you have to weigh in twice, right? You're not cutting 20 pounds, 30 pounds and holding that for 72 hours, right? It's just not going to happen. You do one little thing like that, and it's gonna, maybe some guys are still going to cut 10 pounds. Fine. I think they're going to suffer for that, but that's okay. That's their choice. But you're not going to be able to do a drastic weight cut if you're getting your weight checked 2 days in a row. And the UFC can swing that. Most of these guys are coming in a week in advance anyways because they have to do the pre-fight post-conference and then they, so they're in there days before. So it's not like they can't swing it. They can do it. And it's very simple. My original idea was weighing them in 3 days in a row. That would be 72 hours, I guess. Before 72, it would have been, I guess, 48 technically. But still not something you could do, right? You could see even 24-hour recovery is not enough when you cut extreme like Macy did, right? Imagine if she had to hold the weight down for 48 hours. It wouldn't work well. And you're not going to be able to put the weight on and then take it off and then put it back on again. Like that's also definitely not going to happen. So that's why 2 consecutive days would nip this in the bud. Especially if you're weighing them in day of, right? You would definitely have people never being able to cut any weight. They would just have to be the weight they're at. And I think that would be the way it should be. Just fight where you're healthy. We shouldn't be, it's a ridiculous notion. And I know I've said this before, but again, current events just brings us back to light here, which is if I'm going to fight you and me and you go, we're going to fight on the street. And we're okay, we're going to go tomorrow in front of the schoolyard at noon. All right. But you have to weigh 155 pounds before you fucking fight me. So we're going to cut weight the day before. Like, okay. It's like, who would agree to that? That makes no sense, right? It's retarded. We should just be fighting based on where we feel healthiest at. And based on that, matching up with somebody who's around our weight. That's all. It shouldn't be such crazy measures to optimize, like, I'm going to try to squeeze out like 25 pounds, so I can bounce back up 20 and have a good strength edge on my opponent. And then your opponent's doing the same thing anyways. So like dummies, let's just not do this whole game to begin with and be able to be as healthy as possible. And of course, competitors, everyone's going to try to cheat somebody, but it's the UFC or the athletic commission, in this case Nevada, that should be the ones that should stop the games here, right? If you're supposed to be focused on fighter safety, which is what the athletic commission's job is, you're doing a terrible job by allowing weight cutting. There's no other way to say it. Weight cutting is not beneficial for your health. It's not safe. It's not improving health outcomes long term. Why are you allowing it? Take it off the table. Again, if you could see a flaw with what I'm saying, 2-day weigh-ins, 2 days in a row, let me know. Because I think it's a very simple way of handling it. You're not, like I said, there's going to be some people who are still going to try to cut, 5-10 pounds. But that's going to be rough even on 2 days in a row, right? Because that means I'm going to have to cut 10 pounds. Then that day, I'm either holding that 10-pound cut or I'm rehydrating and then I'm going to recut the next day. That doesn't seem like it's going to be worth the juice is going to be worth the squeeze there, right? Like it just seems to make more sense. Just optimize my body. Get as lean as I can so I have as much muscle for my frame as possible while still having the fat where I have energy and I'm not straining my joints or whatnot, right? and obviously maintaining good hydration, right? Like I said, there is going to still be some weight optimization, but I think it'll be drastically reduced, and I would believe in a more healthy way. You're not going to do these crazy, 30, 40 pound weight cuts that guys are doing, right? I don't think that's going to be possible on a 48-hour weight cut, right? Because you're going to have to weigh in twice in a row. That's going to be real rough. And I would hope that would avoid tragic situations like this, right? Where, you have a young athlete that could potentially have health issues as a result of weight cutting. I think it also makes for better fights when the people are not drained, right? And we know now scientifically that weight cutting makes you more likely to get a concussion because the fluid in your brain also is the first area to lose water and the last area to rehydrate. So that means there's less brain fluid, which means your brain is more likely to wobble around when it gets hit. Another not great thing about weight cutting, besides what we usually hear, the damage to the kidneys and other internal organs. So let's just get rid of that. And as fighters, I think everyone should be embracing that. I don't know why you don't hear that from fighters more often. Like, hey, let's get rid of this weight cutting stuff. Like, listen, I don't know a single fighter like, oh, I can't wait for this weight cut. No, it's a miserable part of this game that really doesn't have relevance into the actual fight itself. It makes no sense, right? Like, why are we adding this incredibly difficult hurdle into a sport that's already incredibly difficult, right? It's already one of the most grueling sports, it's the most complicated technical sport. Why are we adding this extra toughness hurdle of, we have to be able to make weight? Just get rid of it. And I don't think the UFC or any of the organization's promotions have that control. It's going to be primarily the athletic commissions, at least in the United States here, that supervise all the states. Each individual state has their own athletic commission. Do something useful as the commissioner and take out the weight cutting, make it structured differently. I think what I'm advising is the easiest way of doing it, because I know ONE FC does hydration testing, but having spoken to ONE FC athletes, there's lots of ways to gain that too, which people are. So obviously that's not going to work either. I think you just keep it simple. Just 2 days in a row. That's it. And if 2 days is not enough, 3 days in a row. The point is not to make it easy for them to weight cut. It is to make it unappealing to weight cut, or basically you're going to be taking a hit if you cut weight, because the fighters are not cutting weight because they like it. They're cutting it because they want to get an edge. And if you're able to de-incentivize that by making it a penalty for cutting weight, they just won't do it. And then the only other way you're going to optimize your weight now is by being lean, eating healthy, and stacking on as much muscle on your frame while maintaining your weight class and being responsible with your hydration, which is going to put them to be healthier. And that would be the goal, right? Like your fight camps shouldn't be fat camps, right? And likewise, they shouldn't be also about I gotta watch my sodium levels and I gotta, not eat for the last couple days and, drink teaspoon of water and spit in a cup. These are crazy things that we're putting ourselves through for some silly arbitrary weight class. Let's try to strip that, right? I think that would be the best way moving forward for this, and I'm probably going to fall on deaf ears, but I think it would be great, if we can stop doing this before someone actually does get seriously hurt. I think the UFC has been fortunate. This is probably one of the more severe incidents that we've heard of in recent times. I don't think the UFC's ever had a fatality or a serious, permanent injury from a weight cut, but I don't want to wait for it to happen, right? I don't want to wish that and see that or wish that on anybody. I'd rather that we didn't have this, because to me as a coach, what a relief. I don't have to worry about weight cutting anymore. Now I don't have to hire like a special, nutritionist slash like alchemist or whatever that knows how to do weight cuts and has the formula for getting the IVs and what to put in the IV and what's the schedule for eating and for drinking and the how they're gonna sweat it out. Like no. We just have to train our guy to be as strong as he can, as well as conditioned and as technical. That's what we know best as coaches. We're learning along the way of how to deal with weight cuts, so we hire people who specialize in this. But it's a crazy idea. I'm telling you, no one wants to do this, right? Now, I get, there might be, I say no one. I'm sure there are guys who love doing weight cuts because they might be very good at it and they feel like they have an advantage with it. And to them, I'd say, man, tough luck. Become a better fighter instead. Stop trying to be a weight bully and optimize that part, and actually focus on being a better fighter. 'Cause I think it sucks that this is such an important part of the game now. Because right now, for example, if I was in a fight, I'd have to fight at 170. It's like impossible for me to fight another weight class. 185, I'd be fighting Driscus. If you've seen Driscus, he's huge. He's almost as big as Tom Aspinall. It's crazy. Like I would get, just absolutely crushed by someone of his stature. All right, so and I'm walking around now 200 pounds, right? 15 pounds back in the day was like a reasonable weight cut. And mind you, I can obviously lean out a bit more. But like 170 would have to be like the minimum weight class that I could, or the highest weight class that I could effectively compete at. So not great. Man, I had to drop 30 pounds basically now. I could probably diet about 10 pounds and a 20-pound cut. So yeah, it's doable, but man, that's pretty miserable, right? I don't like these type of calculations that we would have to do. I think it would just be better like we can get rid of this game. And then the case for me would be, okay, well, I would weight optimize to be around 190 and then fight 185. Right? And that would probably make sense. I wouldn't be cutting much of anything. And at that point, I would be like sub 10% body fat. That's like fair, right? But that's my take on it. Regarding, I didn't watch this UFC, to be honest, because like I said, I wasn't excited about it. I'm like, man, I only had one of my friends that was fighting there, and he won his fight. It was actually Jordan Leavitt, the Monkey King. I just trained with him last week, so it was great to see him catch that anaconda from the guillotine, and he won fight of the night. So one for the good guys. But other than that, I didn't really know anybody else on the card, so I didn't tune into it. Seemed like to be a pretty cursed card, though. Right? Like I said, 2 fights that dropped. The main event dropping last minute. Not a great way to be remembered for. Fortunately, that's an Apex event. Imagine if that was a live event, and the main event just fell through that way. What a disappointment that would be. In any case, that's all I got for you guys this week. Like I said, it'll be a short one. By the way, I will be going to Florida from June 10th to June 17th. If you're in South Florida, you want to train with me, the classes are open to jump into. You just have to pay the mat fee if you're not a student at FFA. I think it's like $35 or something like that for the day. I'll be teaching 3 classes, which will be a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which I believe is June 11th, June 12th, June 13th, 6 p.m. It's in Miami Eastern Time. and it goes to about 7:30. So you can attend all 3 classes. I'll be teaching different things in those classes, and they're run more like a seminar, right? Because I'm basically trying to distill as much information as I can to my team. So I teach one consistent theme throughout those 3 days, and that way I have armed my guys to the best of the best of my ability with some of the cutting edge stuff I've been working on. I actually had some cool things I pulled off in training yesterday that I want to share with them as well. So if you're interested, you could just send me an email, david@davidmma.com, and I can send you more info of the address. Again, it's Freestyle Fighting Academy, Miami, Florida. You can just Google that, freestylefightingacademy.com. And you can just go there. But if you have any particular questions, you can also ask me. So I'll be there for that. If you're a student at FFA, if you're a CAT member, it's free. And I think our intro MMA members just pay a small fee to get in. But yeah, that'll be a good time. So I'll be there for those days. And I stick around for a few more days afterwards. It's actually going to be my brother's birthday on Saturday. So I'll be there to celebrate his 45th. So that should be fun too. But yeah, that's what I have going on there. And if you're interested, you can just send me an email or you can visit freestylefightingacademy.com to get the gym info. Give us a call. Just make sure if you do plan on going that you reserve a spot, because normally when I'm teaching there, everybody shows up, so the mats are pretty full. And if we have like 20 extra people who want to jump in, it's probably not we can't accommodate everybody. So if you're going to be a visitor jumping in for a session or two, make sure you call in and reserve in advance so that we can save you a spot. Other than that, if you can't go, no worries. If you guys have been following the website for a while, I do post these on my website at davidmma.com. You have to be a subscriber or a member, right, to get access to those videos, because I put them up as posts. And yeah, I haven't looked in a while, but I think there's like 500 or so posts at this point, and I've been posting every day except Sundays religiously since I started the website. So a little pat on my back for myself for being consistent for that long. I tell people I'm pretty disciplined in that regard, and once I can get a habit going, I can keep it for a long time. I was actually talking to I think Mo Jassim, because I use you guys know, like, my Fitness Pal. I have 13 plus years of entering every meal I've eaten every day. Pretty impressive streak there as well, right? And I record all my workouts in another app, my Fit Notes, so I journal now every day as well. So I have a lot of little discipline rituals that I do that I don't stray from. But yeah, I'm happy with how my website's been progressing and growing. We've been getting lots of new people joining, and it's great to see that. I would like to see some more feedback. There's a lot of lurkers on there, but if you guys give the stuff likes or comments, just lets me know what you guys like more. But it seems like we have a lot of very shy people, which is fine. But I would like to see some more engagement there as well. So if you're on there and you've been lurking for a while, give some thumbs up to a post, or even a thumbs down if you don't like something, or just give a comment. It makes it a little easier for me when I know what people want to see or what they like to see, and I can create more content that way. I'm actually going to start doing more rolling footage, because somebody did comment that, actually. I put up one of my rolls, and they're like, man, I wish we could see more of your rolls. I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. So I actually went to get a drone, because I wanted to be cutting edge. I think it would be kind of cool if I can get a drone, throw it up, and then have it filming me from above, That way it can kind of just follow me wherever I am on the mats and get some cool like angles because you can have it like rotate or whatnot. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, right? And I quickly realized that's why no one's doing this. Because I talked to somebody, I think it was DJI, that is one of the big companies that make the consumer drones. And because I'm like, I have a special use case. I'm not going outside hiking. I'm going to be doing this indoors in the gym. But I want something that I can control the altitude of, and so it doesn't hit the ceiling or it's too low or it's going to like bump into people. But it also needs to be silent because if it sounds loud, it's going to be very obstructive and, disruptive. Like, oh yeah, this one's good. And I got the one they recommended, and man, that thing sounds loud as hell. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like the AI is quite there yet as far as being able to stay at one altitude or just track. It seemed like it would, dip down, move up, dip down, and it looked like it wants to keep a certain range, which is not great, So I had to scrap that idea. But I did find something else now. Same company, but they sell one of those gimbals, and the gimbal does like a tracking. And that seems to work better. I'm not sure if it's going to be perfect, but I'm going to give it a go on my next training session here so I can film that for you guys. And I'm crossing my fingers that works out, because if that does, then I can start filming more of these rolls and do breakdowns of my own sessions, since I'm not competing anymore. At least when I roll around or fool around the gym, I can give you guys some different looks as far as what I'm working on. So things that we got coming down the pipe. Like I said, if you guys have suggestions about things you want to hear me talk about on the podcast, techniques you want me to cover, matches you want me to break down, courses that you want me to make, or just any suggestions about anything I'm doing, just send me a message, david@davidma.com, or you could direct message me on Facebook, X, or Instagram @David Avellan.